let's go ahead and get started here, guys. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. See, now I'm cold. I get cold, I get hot, I can't make up my mind. You know what's funny? My game is staying at a solid 60 now. But I am getting stutters. Look at that, all 60. I like this. Yep, game runs better now. Way better. It's just a little random stutters here and there. Other than that though, better than what it was. Oops, what is it, F? F, okay. Playing so many different games. Yeah, game runs way better. See, the frame rate cuts in half periodically. I don't know why though. And I don't know what the settings are. Yeah, everything's low. I don't even think it matters really. Alright, let's take a look here. I think I just heard Jay here. Jay, are you here? Forgot how to play already. All right, yeah. So Christmas stuff. Yeah. Looks really good. Good job.
This is her and her. Harrison?
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Good job, buddy.
Can I show the stream?
Go ahead.
Here's what I made.
Ah. Well, probably do like there's Jay. I'm trying to see where my Christmas stuff is. How the heck do I... Oh, costumes.
Replace your head. Replace your body. Ugly sweater. Now replace your legs.
Oh, I don't have any of these.
Replace your sword. Now, can you replace your sword?
Yeah, I don't have any of those. Only these ones that are highlighted here. Oh, wait.
Hey, you got a special pet, Daddy.
Select flashlight skin? Oh.
Daddy, what about your own sword?
Yeah, just regular.
Do the red one. I like the red one. Yeah. Hey, go back to the red. Back to the right. I like that.
You like that one? Let's see for pants.
But then go back to your pants. Go down.
Oh, the other one.
That looks better.
Looks very metallic.
Dad, you have enough coins.
Ooh, what's this?
Oh, that looks better, Daddy. You have enough coins. Look. Oh, no, no.
I'm not gonna ask. I can look like a frost giant if I want to. Jeez.
Daddy, hold on. Go back to your legs. Oh, that. Hey, let me read the names. Try that one. That looks better.
This one's kind of
Buy
cool.
it. Buy it. It's only 450 at 3,100. Buy it. Look at the flick of the wrist. Hey. Hey.
Maybe we can't buy no gliders.
Daddy, buy that. Buy that. Buy that. No, not that. Not the dragon's breath. Buy that.
This one?
Only 310. Buy it.
Hold on, hold on. I don't want to go wasting coins now because I need these for like other stuff.
No, but buy that one sword and then you're done. Buy that one sword, Daddy. Or the candy cane. Candy cane. What the heck is that? Kindness. Yeah, get that. Still have enough. Come on, Daddy.
Yeah, that's it. No more. You're gonna make me lose all my coins.
Look, Daddy. Now you're all Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, now say
Except for the
done.
legs. There's no Christmas legs.
You get your own pet. Look.
Oh.
Look at Jay compared to you. You're all decked down Christmas, and he's just like.
Nah,
boring.
Jay's gonna have it too because when one of our viewers came in and like donated all this stuff. He helped us get coins, pro, and everything.
You lucky.
Alright, step it away. I didn't get no coins. Oh wait, you don't have coins, Shay? Really?
Wow, look what J13 said. I get no coins. Why do you get coins? No fair.
I know, I kind of want to dress like as a frost giant. That would have been kind of cool. But I think my character looks pretty cool now. Look all evil Knievel.
How does a deer look evil? That's my question.
Hmm?
How does a deer look evil?
Yeah, he's running smooth now, thank goodness. I could probably turn the graphics up. It looks like it's gonna, no matter what, it looks like it's gonna...
Alright, Dad, I'm just gonna go back to drawing Skylander. Bye.
Yeah, no matter what, I'm getting the same FPS. Yeah, I'll just keep this on.
Hey, why do you still have the green hand?
What?
The green hand. Look. Oh, not that hand. Look. The other hand right there. You see it? Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so green.
Yeah.
Look at the flick of the wrist. Hey. Hey.
I don't know. Oh yeah, my hand's right there, yeah.
Can you change your skin color? No, that's just changing your hand.
I thought we changed it though.
Yeah, you changed it.
Yeah, see, oh, it's just the sleeves.
Yeah, do the sleeve again.
Okay.
Sleeves! Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't give us the gloves though.
Doesn't even show.
I'll stick with the antlers.
Daddy, look. Look behind your head. You have an extra.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have 2 pairs of antlers? Wait, Daddy, don't some deers have 4 antlers?
That's crazy, man. Okay, so it looks like I got some objectives here to do. Here, you want to try it for a bit? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
How's this right here?
Ugh.
Come on, man.
Alright, alright, first I'm just gonna explore. How you run?
You hold shift.
Open!
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know everything. I'm not a computer expert, okay?
You used to be, and then you became controller.
Yeah, I don't like... What? How? What is this? Hold on. Oh, a pet. Can I kill it?
Let's see a little.
Hey, how do you sprint? Is this one of your guys' pets? Leafy?
Green one.
Leafy?
No. No, if you don't see yeah, he's a pet, but he's have a yellow bell. That's J13's pet.
I was trying to kill it for a second. I was going like this to it.
Well, don't do that.
I was trying to... I didn't hit it once. Come here, boy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do for you? Oh, coins. Give me that loot. It's my loot. Oh! Oh! Dad, is it fine if I take all of that?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, take all that. Thank you. What is that red thing?
That's the blueprint that Jay's working on right now.
Whatever that thing is, that's crazy shenanigans. So he's planning to destroy all this? What is J13 planning to destroy? Why is he planning to destroy all this? What?
Anything else?
Dad, what kind of craft is this?
What?
What is this craft? Hold on. I'm gonna run around. Oh, I found a green piggy. Can I kill it? Oh, wait, it has a stupid belt.
Jeez, really?
Yeah. Oh, I found a yellow piggy. Do you have a belt? No, you don't. Yay. Oh, I got some leather. Yes, I'll take that. Thank you. Oh, what is that thing? Oh, that's just J13. I want to kill everything. I don't know why. The first thing I do when I come to this game is kill. Oh, Daddy, I found jackpot. I found jackpots. Look at the flick of the wrist. Ay,
Easy with the camera.
What is that thing? A crystal shard. Okay. Ooh. You sneak, sneak, sneak. Look at the flick of the wrist. I didn't hit it once. Ooh, I got a bunch of. Damn, I'm getting a hang of this. Look. What? I found mushrooms. Oh, Daddy, what is this thing? I suppose this is your mine? Dad, is this your mine? It has torches in it. What? What? No, I was looking at this pig. He just smashed something. Hold on. I want to see what you just got. He has a crystal, boy. Oh, yeah. This guy has crystals. You give me those crystals today. Daddy, I kind of lost the house. Oh, wait. How do you miss that thing? It's so big. Daddy, I'm not used to the keyboard. I kind of keep pressing shift for jump.
Oh, shift the jump, really?
Yep. Ooh, there's a tree. I'm gonna go kill it. What? Hold on, you spawned right in front of my face. You only been here for 10 seconds and now you're dead. Oh, thank you. You're useless. Oh, what does that thing spawn over? Is there different creature than just pigs and leafies? Is there different creatures in this pig?
There's really ones down below.
Can I kill those?
Right now.
What is that thing? What is?
I don't know. I'm still new to the game myself.
What's that lobster thing?
Oh, that's Mr. Krabs.
Give me your monies. What are you doing? Did he just pop his eyes out because how scared he was? I just got Rockster Rock. I just got Rockster Rock. Daddy, I'm scared. I'm not at that house anymore and I don't know where I'm at. I just found magnetite. These guys might be pretty good, Daddy. They give you rocks and magnetites and stuff.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, I want to see the creepy creatures. Time to see the creepy creature. Daddy, can I see the creepy creatures down below? There's a cave right near me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm still new to the game. I gotta get upgrades because they're hard.
So you're saying I can't get them? Daddy, I just got coral. What? Baby. Is there stuff in the ocean you can kill? Daddy, is there stuff in the ocean you can kill?
I have no idea.
Well, how about we find out? I'm scared. Ooh, shells.
You gotta go hit tab. That will put you in a first person mode. This one is not the one you want. Tab again. Every time you hit tab, it changes your stance. That one absorbs blocks like Minecraft. Think of that as your pickaxe.
I have a question. How do you get out of the water?
Face the jump.
Okay.
Walk to the side. There you go.
I need to get back home. Dad, can I play
Then you
this?
press G to fly.
What is that thing? Dad, there's literally a green and blue crab.
Uh-oh.
What are those?
Those are huge.
I know I'm gonna kill them. The weird creatures you find at nighttime. Kill you. Snake.
Oh, that'd be a cool pet. Everything.
Pebble's Pebble. There's another green one. I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in this crab. Come here. That he literally has a skull face.
Yeah, look at that.
I think they attack you once you get near them. I gotta be careful. Dad, why am I out all night? See, Dad, look at the crab. Look at the creatures you find out here. What is that?
Bunch of them.
What is that thing? I know that crab, but what is?
Didn't you?
Dad, I just got glob. Dad, what is that thing? Look, right here. I just killed it. Let's see what I got. Dad, come here. I got God. Look. Look at this thing, Daddy.
Oh, yeah?
Look at this thing. What is that?
I have no idea.
That's an evolved leafy. Daddy, I think you find evolved pets out here. Look,
Probably.
look, that's an evolved crab. That's an evolved leafy. That's an evolved pig. Hey, these are the coolest pets out here. You should get one of these. How do you tame pets?
Who, what?
How do you tame pets? I want to tame that.
Oh, you gotta make a bell. You gotta craft. This game is crafting.
Hey, what is that thing? Come here!
I don't know. Yes. Yeah, grab it.
Oh, I'm taking all that boy, and I'm running before these pets get in my way. What are you? Making sure I press the right key. Right. Look at the flick of the wrist. Ayy.
Stop that. That's something else.
Oh yeah, it's also copyright too. Daddy, these are like neon pets out here. What is that thing? Come here.
Get on there for it. What do you think so far?
Run. Run. Treasure chest.
Different?
Look, there's 2 treasure chests, Daddy.
Oh.
I don't like this part of the lands. Why all of a sudden did it change? And, yep.
It's a lot of useful stuff.
Where's the other one? Over there.
Right. Day 13's like, someone's enjoying the game. Right? And he was
Oh
talking about
my
he didn't wanna play
god!
it.
Wow. I hope you get eaten by a monster, you pig.
You want me to see if I can get this on your computer?
I mean, sure, but I'm not gonna be as good as you guys. Can I keep playing while you're doing that? Thank you. J13, I need, I kind of lost the house, J13. J13, I'm lost. Blue beacon in the sky? I'm too far. I don't know where that thing is. Look for a blue beacon in the sky. J13, I may have a problem. I'm at the desert lands. So I think I just gotta go backwards. Oh, a chest. Oh, yes. That, I think. What is L Rockster? A lobster? Look for the blue beacon in the sky. I think I just gotta go the way I came from, this way. Why is there so many green pigs? J13, what is that thing? What is that? Hey, you don't run away from me. Come here. Ooh, arcstone, moss tool, gunpowder. Okay. J13, I have no idea how I survived the whole night. I'm still looking for the blue beacon. But I don't know how far I am. Like, I'll look for red stuff too. Okay, I know I didn't. You crafted a white beacon. Yeah, J13, I think I'm far away from the house. Okay, I think I'm getting closer because there's regular pigs now. Yep, there's regular pigs. J13, I found the house! Yay! I finally found a house. I've seen some weird creatures on my way, but I finally got it. I've seen some weird creatures on my way. I've seen some mutant crabs. I've seen some mutant pigs. I've seen mutant everything. I even seen a mutant I've seen a mutant lanternfish. This was the beacon I was looking for. No. Right above the beacons. No. Yay! Hello, world. How do you get furniture in this game? Hold on. You get wooden bookshelves, pressure plate, windows, white doors. You get flower pots. You get beds. You get a wooden door. You get a white brick fireplace and a brick fireplace. You guys are lucky. And you got holiday windows. Taming call it. Boy, I went out all this way to get a crab and I didn't get a taming call. How do you use the taming call? Crafting. Route time. Look at the freak. Day 13, where are you at? Day 13, how do you get in your inventory? This is my inventory. Who's this? J13, how do you get to the pools? J13, where you at? Oh, I can see you're building this. Okay, come down. I can't find J13. He just told me where he was.
Right, he's like clicking the bag. Give me 1 second. All right, give me a second. Go ahead.
I play. J13, I can't see you. Where you at? I know you're on top of the trees. How did you get up there? Well, where are you now? How do I do that? Can you show me? Can you show me how you did it?
Mic off.
J13, how do you heal yourself? I kind of went overboard on the glider and now I'm at 10 health. Where are the mushrooms? That's great. J13, do we lose anything we die? I took all my stuff back. Is that good? Alright, J13, I'll come back in the trees. Hello, sir. How do you do? How do you do, sir? I'm doing good as well. Now let me help you clean all this out. Yeah! I've been wanting to see those, but my dad said they're too dangerous. Whee! Whee! Where'd you go? J13, I have a bad feeling about this. Nope, this is when I back away, J13. This is when I go back up to the surface. Nope, not today. What about over here? J13, what about over here? Sorry, J13. But I thought there was a hole under here, and I saw lava on the other side, so I thought this was a cave with lava in it. J13, you see what I see? You see a lava over there? You see a lava over here? If you stare right here, don't you see the lava? See, I thought that was a hole right there, so I thought that was like a cave, but apparently not. So let's go this way. Oh. J13, you better protect me, because I don't know how to fight in this game. I know you go like that, but... Don't we have like torches or something? Nope. Is there a turn back button, please? Nope, not jumping down there. Going over here. What is that thing? J13, come here. What is that? That did nothing. That did nothing as well. Okay. This is bedrock? J13, can you stop knocking me out?
It's stalling now. You're giving me a hard time.
Daddy, me and J13 are exploring the mines. I just saw a big giant monster. Look at that thing. What is that?
Oh, Jay's throwing bombs at it.
How many bombs do you have?
Half a bunch of them.
He said finally killed one of them. He used like 50 bombs and finally killed. Yeah, 13 bombs. Do you work at a bomb factory? Hey, J13, come stand back on this block. Stand back on this block right here. Stand back on that block. Hey, don't be angry at me. I kind of made you die once. Already.
It's alright. I got enough right.
No,
Or you get your stuff back when you die.
I got your stuff back.
Yeah, the game like skips sometimes.
What is that? Stalactite? Silt stone? What kind of stuff do you have in this game? Big giant hallway? I don't like that. Nope. Oh, nope. J13, can't we just glide down or something? Yeah,
You don't want to get stuck down there. Hold me first.
A Night Pigsy. That's what his name is. Night Pigsy. Oh, I got a mushroom. How do you... 6? How do you use it?
What?
How do you use that?
Oh,
Mushroom.
that's number 6 on the keyboard. Your health regenerates over time, not all at once. Okay?
Oh, Daddy, I want to tame that monster.
Hang on,
Can I tame that?
Why not just stop right there? I think you could tame those, but
Where,
they're hard to tame.
where did J13 go?
Yeah. Come with me.
Hold on, where did J13 just go?
Probably just
He's over there.
tell Jay to protect you real quick.
J13, I'm gonna go back up to the house. Yeah, that's...
Attack.
Okay!
Yeah.
Stop, dude.
Yeah, go to the house real quick where it's...
Yeah, about... J13, do you know the way up to the house?
Or just pause it right there.
Hold on, J13's about to show me the way to the house. Press T to teleport. T. Jasmine. Oh, his touchpad. Oh, Daddy, his touchpad. That's something.
Give me 1 second, guys. Jay, we're gonna get right back into it. Hold on, give me 1 second, bro. Give me a second here. Hold on, let me see.
You're fired!
Alright, hold on, guys. Alright, sorry about all that huge delay. Server, you will be disconnected. Oh shoot, you can't go AFK too long. Alright, so we gotta figure out what we're gonna want to do here, guys. Oh, is that like a beam thing? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Time. I know, right? No, little man, he's gotta go to bed, guys. It's getting pretty late and stuff. All right, Jay, let's go ahead and figure out, see what else we gotta do here. All right, Jay, what did you want to do next? Like, where did you want to go? So weird that we just like suck everything up with our gloves. All right, we gotta figure out what we're gonna want to do here now. Yeah, we're gonna do the mines, bro. We're gonna do the mines for sure. Oh wait, is your plants growing? Yeah, Thomas, Jay's playing with me, bro. Thomas, did you ever add me on Call of Duty, bro? Are you still lying to me, man? Are you still playing with my emotions, bro? Alright, let me empty out some of my inventory thingies. Hold on, let me see here. Need another chest, man. Oh, 2 empty ones? Oh, okay, cool. Alright, so blocks, 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 blocks. Oh, the health items, yeah. Which one was it? I had the my mushrooms. Honestly, I haven't really been playing that much lately, so not that high of a rank, but I'm gonna keep advanced health potions, I mean. Okay. Wait, 200? What? Yo, did they up the rank? I was level 140 some, and then they did a new season and reset it, everybody. I lost a lot of progress with that. All right, let's go ahead and do this, bro. Oh, yeah. So what do we want to do here? We'll have to start getting into the crafting, but right now I think we're just going to go ahead and do some exploration. First thing I want to make sure though, Jay, is torches and stuff. So if I want to build things, I know we can only do it from like whatever we have in here, but... Torches. What do I need for torches? So we have the cold torch made in a crafting menu used to light dark areas and prevent creatures spawning. Okay, so it's the same thing like Minecraft. Used to light dark areas and prevent creatures spawning. So that's a moss torch, smoky and lets off very little light. It will be somewhat romantic if you weren't coughing all the time. So this one's better then. So I would need coal and a wood rod. Oh dude, you got a bunch. Okay. How do I know how many I have? Holy crap, put that away. That's kind of cool. All right, so I got some torches and stuff for us. Got some health. We got some mushrooms we can eat. Nice house. Thank you, Thomas. Jay actually built it. Jay did a really fine, great job at it. All right, Jay. Well, let's go ahead and see if fix my chair here real quick. There you go. For some reason, the shocks went down. All right, so we have the I like this random headache out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, it could be good. Alright, so we got some torches, we got some consumables. I think we're ready to go, right? Do we need anything else, Jay? Do we want to build more bombs? Iron mining cell. Do we even have this stuff? I'm not worrying about it right now. Oh, what's all this? What is all that? Oh, light. Oh. Might be good to hang that up in the ceiling. Oh, it tells me what I need. I need iron bar, obsidian slab. Yeah, we'll do this later. Jay, which one of the hand thingies do you have? Are you doing the iron mining cell, or you just got the obsidian one? Oh, you have the obsidian one? Yeah, me too. Me too. My bad. Okay, I didn't know you were typing in this chat. I got you, bro. We're good for now. I don't want to go down there with too much in case we die off. Keeps the enemies from spawning around here. I think I have enough stuff to make them. Yeah, you actually might. Let's get the iron then. We're gonna need them, bro. Because if we go down there, what if we get iron and we can't get it? That'd probably be bad news. Hello, world. You know, when you went down to the mine cells, were there like certain blocks you couldn't like take out or what? I was getting to where I was unable to get certain blocks. Gotcha. So yeah, the deeper you go. Yeah, let's build an iron one then. So we need 4 iron bars, 2 obsidian slabs, 8 salt rocks, glowing mushrooms, and seashells. Holy macro. Glowing mushrooms? Yeah. Yep. 4 iron bars. 2 obsidian slabs, 8 salt rocks, 8 glowing mushrooms, 4 seashells. Dum 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 dum. Glowing mushrooms, you only got 1. Uh-oh, Jay. Are we gonna be able to do this, bro? You think we're gonna be able to do this right now? I don't know if we're gonna be able to, man. I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, well, let's go get some salt rocks. Let's focus on that. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay. Do you know where we get salt racks, Jay? But I don't remember where to find ya, but I know it's near the beach. Okay. Go to the beach. Wherever a beach may be. And right over here to the left. Maybe around here, you think? What do you think? Possibly? Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Really, Thomas? Really, bro? Yeah? I can't help it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're fired!
Why am I fired? No! Oh my god. Okay. Alright, hold on, guys. Yeah, we'll see. Right. Alright, so what happens now that the ore is done? That's it? Yeah, you're definitely right, Jay. Let's go and head back, bro. How the heck can I get out of here? Yay, 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 yay. Oh, what the? It's my pet now. Yeah. 3 pets I'm gonna go ahead and take back to the house. Alright, we got a bunch of coal here that I grabbed. Seriously? Only takes a little bit to do and then we're good. It's like it's making a beat. Ah, there you go. All done. So what do we do with these bosses anyway? What are we building with these? They kind of give me like that Tomb Raider vibe. I wonder what's causing that stutter though. It's like not all the time. It's like every so many minutes. Death statue? What the heck is all this? It's just dirt. Alright, let's go to head back real quick, guys. That was when I died down there. Oh! Okay, I got your stuff. But before I head up... Okay. That's not fair, dude. I'm scared to even know how much I really lost. I gotta go back and get it. No, I need my stuff. I need my stuff. No, Why would you be so mean to me? I blame that little green piggy, man. Alright, wait, I still got my stuff. Or most of it anyways. Jay, I do not remember where we went, bro. I think we went this way. Why are you going up so high? Way south. I think I see your beacon there. Oh, it even shows where your body was. Wow. Yeah, I'm not liking this third person to battle though. It's kind of annoying. Oh, I want to tame that thing. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead and tame one. Yep, I tamed one. Okay, so there's one of mine coming with me now. I got that thing tamed. Where's that other thing at? Poor Jay. Jay got blown to smithereens. That's my pets. Hey, it's my pet now. All they can do is stay. Okay. Okay, well, let's clear up this area then. A bunch of how we do it. We'll go grab me some water while those are extracting. Okay. They're almost done, guys. They're almost done. Oh, yeah. Almost done. There we go. We got them all done. What is with that water? I don't get what's going on in that water. Requires diming. Well, that's diamond mining, so. Oh, it gives you unlimited health? What? Oh, that's my pet. Scared the crap out of me, dude. we made sure of that. Yeah, we're definitely not in the right area. Gotta be this way. But not far from the beach, I see it now. Okay. There we go. Alright, so from the beach. Oh, we got seashells. We're gonna need these. Some of the animals in this game really do crack me up, though. Crabs give you seashells. We need to. Alright, let's do it. Bum 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 bum. Wow, the whole pet system though kind of reminds me of like those Roblox like simulator types things. Alright, we're getting pretty good on inventory systems here, guys. Dude, I think I'm full, bro. Oh no, I've been defeated while I was in the air. That's not good. Alright guys, we gotta get back over there. Whoa, what the heck? Was I literally just running? Okay. Hey, what's up, Salad? Okay, here we go. Let's get back. There's my dead body. At least I got my death statue back, which is perfect. I'm grabbing all the seashells, man. Get these bad boys off the ground. Okay, so we got those. We're still gonna need other things. Jay, did you get like the salt rocks? Have you found them? Why not collect these while we're at it? They're underground. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take this stuff back real quick. I'm gonna take my pets back too. We gotta get the pets back at the house. I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I'm getting a little tired. This probably be the last game for today. I beat a lot of games today. So I was able to delete some of them out of the hard drive. But yeah, right now we're just kind of finishing it up here with some Creativerse and then take a break. Get some night nap. We got New Year's Eve coming around the corner. Lots we gotta do, guys. By the way, happy early New Year's, guys, in case I don't hear from some of you. I hope it goes good for everybody. Get ready for the year of 2020. Yeah, we need more storage. You know what? Can I build a storage here? Let's see here. Wood chests. You need beeswax, cragwood, and vines. Well, cragwood is definitely this. Until 5? Okay. Man, that sucks. You gotta work. I hope you're off the next day, bro. Especially if you're gonna, like, party or anything. You don't want to be all, like, super hungover. That would suck. That would not be good. Okay, so now we need vines. Oh, that wouldn't count, would it? Let me guess these. Where the heck do I get vines at? There's vines here. I really gotta look for vines? There is a lot in the chest. Okay. happened to my other creatures? Hmm. See what else we got. So there's got to be a way to get a bigger chest, though. I mean, I know we got the gift box ones, but that's wood. What if stone gives us more, like, storage? Man, you need some weird things to craft some things in this game. It's crazy, bro. Alright, so I need a... We don't need to be doing that anymore. So with this one... Oh, we don't need to track this, the wooden one no more. Maybe we can untrack that. Okay, I need stone rod and stone slab. Yep. Wow. Well, let's see how much space this actually gives us here now. $35. So the wooden chests are what? 25? I think we're gonna have to practice a little bit more on the crafting part, guys. I think for the most part we're doing all right. Okay, let's get up here up top. Man, you get so much stuff, I don't know where to put it. Oh gosh. Oh, I didn't know I could still make more of those. Okay. There's got to be something better than the stone, though. So after that stone, what can we build next for storage? That's the stone chest. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anything with the gold part that we can do anything. And then adobe, no. I don't think anything with this either. Huh. What about the architect chest? That's what you built before, right? That architect chest would be the one you have in the other house. That's the best one. That's this one. That's 40. So you only get 5 more slots. Alright, it's okay. What's after that one? There's got to be another one. Okay, so after the architect chest, what else do we have? That's it. So we just need a bunch of those then. We need arc stone. Okay, we might actually have to build a room just for chests, bro. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to build a bunch of them. Have like one wall full of like blocks, one wall full of crafting items. Because right now I think it's pretty hectic. I mean, we know for the most part what we need the most is crafting items and I got seeds. Let me put these seeds away. Trying to get organized here, man. Put some of the crafting materials away. Crafting. Crafting, 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 crafting. You know what, Jay? See blocks. How many block items can we store? What is it, like 99 maybe? Container's full? Is there a way we can like move a chest without collapsing it? Ay, ay, ay. Okay, I think for the most part I got everything put away, which is good. So you make just Arctic chests? There is a Grand Arctic chest which is bigger. Okay, how do we make the Grand Arctic chest? That's interesting. Hopefully, we make, Arctic, Grand Arctic chest. I don't know if it lets me make that one. Arctic chort. Wow, I see it now. Shoot, I forgot we gotta build it first. Alright. Stone chest, we don't need to track that anymore. Why am I still tracking that? Okay, Jay, we need to make some Grand Arctic chests. I guess that's going to be the biggest. Right, because arc stones are going to be hard to find. We need to expand this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll do those later. Yeah, I think we did pretty good today. Yeah, go ahead. What is it? what the heck? Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh, we damage each other. I didn't know that. I wish there was a way to dodge these a little better, but these guys... My leather legging is damaged! No! That's right, run around in circles, guys. I'll let you grab it, Jake. Go ahead. Okay. So, what the heck was this? Alright, let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this back real quick. Alright, so stone rods, glob of glue. Honestly, bro. See something here. What if there we go. Kind of reminds me of like a skinnier version of like Ymir. Jay, what the heck was going on here though? Why is this still here like this? Oopsie daisy. I made a big boo-boo. I made a big boo-boo. Okay, so what the heck is that? Well, I do want to tame that. Hold on. Wow, this one takes a long time to tame. Look at that. Here we go, we got it. Let's see if it'll follow me. There it goes. Hey, good job. Oh my gosh! Oh, this one's a wild one. You know what this one reminds me of? It reminds me of Metapod, like the Pokemon Metapod, but like with legs. It's a Metapod on legs. That's exactly what they are. They're hungry? Yeah. They're always hungry. All right, here we go. How about we clear this out? Let's get some more room for you to increase your house here, Jay. Is there a quicker way we can take these out? Jeez Louise. You need to find some diamonds? Okay, that's fine. The diamond was down. I found a diamond. It's like a pool of water, but it's diamond. Only problem is you need a diamond, we need to craft the, like a diamond, mining cell. That's pretty much what we're gonna need in order to do that, pretty much. There we go. need to do the iron one first. Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like we don't unlock them unless we do them in like a set order. So the iron mining cell would be next. Now there was iron down where we were, bro. We found iron and diamond. We need to mine that. Yeah, we do need the salt rack too. Ooh. Okay, we're clearing up shop here, bro. I'm trying to get you some more space to build here, Jay. 'Cause it looks like we're gonna be doing a lot of construction on your house, bro. Wait till I learn the furniture system next. I mean, I built a couple things, nothing crazy though. All right, I think we almost got it pretty much done on that part though. Oh my gosh, my eyes are killing me right now. Guys, I think I'm getting really tired. We're gonna try to clear this up. And Jay, didn't you say you grabbed some of that what was it? Salt rock? Did you find salt rock? Oh, you didn't. Oh, shoot. We're in trouble. Like, I can see under the world. Like, I see gold or whatever that was. I saw it for a second. Alright, we got a bunch of those right now. There we go. Yeah, like we see under the world for like a split second, like something's under there. It's like gold. Oh man. Yeah, we'll go one over. Maybe just a little more just to be safe here. Okay, so we're gonna clear a path where we want it to be cleared at. There we go. Good, 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 good. Right, right. Man, this took a long time just to clear this up. Oh, the lights stay lit. Oh! Okay, so we got that over there pretty much for the most part. Around here is all even. Hmm. So Jay, what were you building over here anyway? These lag spikes are real. Yeah, I know, bro. No, I didn't. It is in the mine near the beach. That place is gonna be huge. I see. It looks like it's gonna be super huge, bro. Like I see. Oh, you're building a fort? Not for me. It's just a blueprint. Edit permissions. Wait, what? Oh, it just took a little time to load. Oh yeah, that looks like it's gonna be nice. So what do you need? So you do need dirt. So you need a lot of wooden walls. You need some wood roof. At least it tells you what you need, so that's actually pretty cool. That's crazy. How about we get this thing finished then? Is there a quicker way to do it, or do we have to actually like bring in whatever we need? I know, we need them. All right, well, let's build those extractors. Actually, on the other hand, I don't know, my eyes are killing me. Holy crap. Drix is getting tired. What's our uptime right now? Oh yeah, I think we're well overdue. Yeah, the lag spikes are annoying. I guess I'm getting used to it. Oh, Jay, Trix is getting tired. Ugh. I think it's time for some night rest. Wow, shoot. My eyes are getting watery. What the heck? I like that Xbox shows that you're playing Creativerse. Like, that's crazy. But yet, is this game on Xbox? I know sometimes it doesn't have to be an Xbox game. Okay. All right. All right, Jay. I think I'm gonna get some shut eye, bro. Trix is getting tired. Oh man. Oh. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yo, Jay, we did good, bro. We did good, man. There's a lot to build in this game. Like, it's a lot to remember. Thank goodness we got like a tracking system, because there's no way. It'd be nice if this was crossplay, though. Yeah, I think we did really well, dude. Alright, guys. Well, Trix is gonna get some rest, get some shut-eye. I really appreciate everything, guys. We did quite a few games. I mean, we did Home Sweet Home, beat it. I was so sad that we beat it. It had a pretty sad ending, but loved it. It was a good game. And then I did not really like the Never Let Me Wake game. I think, was that the one I think I had an issue with? I'm not really 100% sure. And then Witch Hunt was okay. Wasn't really a scary horror game as I thought it would be, but it's a pretty cool hunting game if that's something you're into. So that wasn't too bad. And then we started doing some of this, but yeah, I'm gonna get some rest, guys. So yep, Trix is out of here. Thank you so much for everything. You guys have a great night, and I'll catch you guys in the next broadcast. Bye, guys.